Patrick Bet David just stepped in front of a camera and went straight at Angel Reese. No hesitation, no filter. And to be honest, it wasn't much of a debate. He mentioned her directly, gave Caitlin Clark full credit as the driving force behind the WNBA's current bargaining power in the CBA talks, and said the quiet part out loud. The same thing a lot of fans have been thinking, but most media personalities have avoided saying, and the timing, it couldn't have lined up any better. While Angel Reese was on national television talking about possibly sitting out the 2026 season, Caitlin Clark was making her debut as an NBA on NBC analyst, calmly expressing confidence that a new deal will get finalized. Two completely different messages, two completely different approaches. So let's break down exactly what Patrick Bet David said, and why so many people believe he has a point. And I've got to ask you, is Angel Reese out of touch here? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.
Angel Reese says WNBA players could go on strike over salary and benefits.
Career you choose, you should probably look at what the career earnings are of going into that field. What I'll also say is this: every single one of you WNBA players, you better pray that Caitlin Clark doesn't get injured, because she's keeping your league afloat.
Alright, now here's the part that really stands out. Patrick Bet David isn't some sideline reporter trying to keep relationships intact. He's not a league insider worried about losing locker room access, or staying politically correct to protect credentials. He's an entrepreneur, and he speaks from that lens. That's what made his comments hit harder. When he turned on the camera and directly addressed Angel Reese, it didn't feel like another safe, watered-down sports segment. It felt blunt, unfiltered, different from the usual media spin we're used to hearing. And because he doesn't answer to the same pressures as traditional reporters, his words carried a different kind of weight.
I love watching her highlights of missing shots. She's got to be the worst shooter you've met in your life. But go, Rob, just go, give this feedback. Give this feedback here. Go for it.
Season 2, I can't wait to work with you some more. The biggest advice I have for you is going to be how you shoot your layups, period.
Layups? Bang! What do you mean? She's our double-double queen! Bang! What they say, if it's broke, don't fix it! Bang! Teaching Angel Reese to make a layup is like teaching an old dog a new trick. It ain't gonna work! Bang! Hey, welcome to McDonald's. What can I get you? Have the Angel Reese McBang!
So what exactly did he say? Patrick Bet David didn't tiptoe around it. He flat out said that every WNBA player should be hoping and praying Caitlin Clark stays healthy, because in his view, she's the engine driving the league right now. No sugarcoating, no rewording. That was the message. And then he turned his focus to Angel Reese, specifically calling out her appearance on live TV, where she floated the idea of sitting out the 2026 season as a show of leverage. He challenged the logic behind it. The underlying question he raised was simple but sharp. Where do you think that leverage came from in the first place?
Give us what we want, like, we sit out. That's a possibility, for real.
And that's what made Angel Reese's live stream so eye-opening. She was sitting there completely at ease, like talking about the possibility of skipping a season as if it were leverage she personally earned, like it was a card she brought to the negotiating table through her own impact. But here's the reality: she didn't create this surge. The sold-out arenas, the spike in TV ratings, the flood of new sponsorship money, that wave didn't start with her. The momentum the league is riding right now has Caitlin Clark's influence written all over it. That's the difference.
Has been vocal about her low WNBA salary, revealing her $74,000 a year salary doesn't cover rent, stating on Instagram Live, "I just hope you know that the WNBA doesn't pay my bills at all. I don't even think they pay one of my bills. Reese's financial struggles stem from WNBA salary not matching her past earnings, as her NIL valuation at LSU was $1.8 million, bolstered by deals with Reebok, PlayStation, McDonald's, and Coach, while a 4-year rookie deal was $324,000 with $74,000 due next season."
Think about the moment we're in right now. The WNBA is navigating the most significant labor talks in league history. For the first time, serious money is being discussed. Major networks are locked in. The spotlight is brighter than it's ever been. And in the middle of all that, where's Caitlin Clark? She's seated at the NBA on NBC analyst desk, completely composed, speaking with steady confidence about the negotiations. She made it clear she believes a deal will come together. Her message was simple. The league earned this moment because of the product on the court. No dramatic warnings, no public pressure tactics, no live stream sound bites, just quiet assurance and belief in the work that's already been done.
This is the greatest Angel Reese layup you'll ever see. Here we go with the dump up, ba-da-dum-bum-bum. I'm loving it. Burn! Oh, she getting jiggy with it. Look at that, crisscross, zigging-zagging through the lane. Giddy up, yeehaw! Burn! Now I heard she's ambidextrous. That makes sense, cause she's equally doggy doo-doo with the right and left-handed layup. Burn! Professional basketball player needing to work on her layups is like a fish needing to learn how to breathe underwater. It doesn't make sense. Reese's Puffs! Burn!
At the same time, Angel Reese is on livestream casually bringing up the idea of sitting out a season. Really think about that contrast. Patrick Bet David boiled his argument down to one clear message. You can't threaten to walk away from something you didn't create. That was the heart of it, and it resonated because a lot of fans were already feeling the same way. They just hadn't heard anyone put it so directly and so publicly. If you looked at the response to his video, it was hard to miss. The comment sections, the reaction clips, the reposts, the overwhelming tone wasn't backlash. It was agreement. Loud agreement.
WNBA and what's her name? Angel Reese. Do it. I fully support your right to strike. So other sports have done it. So other major sports have done it. Here's a quick list for you, PBD. I put this together. Biggest sports strikes in history. 1994, the MLB strike. It was the first time that the World Series was canceled.
I remember.
You remember that? In 1998, the NBA went on strike. They canceled the All-Star game for the first time.
No one
the
knows.
NFL has gone on strike multiple times. 1982, 1987, 2011. Here's the catch when you're going to go on strike. In 1994, MLB, NBA, NFL, what's the number one revenue sport in America? What do you think it is? The NFL. How much do you think they make? $17 billion. The NBA, a little over $11 billion. The MLB, also $11 billion. The NHL,
Caitlin Clark's debut on NBC wasn't just a solid TV moment, it was a statement. Every sponsor, every network executive watching saw the same thing. She fits anywhere in the sports world. She can step onto any stage and command it. That's real star power. That's what true market value looks like. Now compare that to Angel Reese's live stream. The message it sent felt completely different. Instead of signaling growth and opportunity, it suggested that some players are more focused on the idea of walking away than on elevating the moment in front of them. Patrick Bet David also touched on something uncomfortable, the jealousy conversation. It's worth thinking about. For 2 seasons, certain veterans seemed determined to dim Clark's spotlight, even as she was helping expand it. And now, those same players are benefiting from that spotlight and using it as leverage in negotiations. Fans see that, and they haven't ignored it.
I'm not huge on comparing the WNBA to the NBA. I don't really think that's fair. Obviously, I think where the WNBA is right now is pretty incredible. I think a lot of people, or most people, would not believe it's in the place that it is right now. So I think when people always ask me this question, where I think it'll be in 5 years, is it's hard for me to answer because people didn't even think we'd be right here, right now. And I think really sky's the limit. I think when you see our TV numbers when we're on, national television, we're averaging over 1 million viewers or whatever it is. The All-Star game, I think, was over 4 million viewers. It's just really great numbers. So the more opportunities we're given, I think the more it's going to shine and get better and better. I think also the talent level in college is continuing to get a lot better, and as those players come into the league, and it's going to continue to improve. We're adding 2 new teams next year, and then probably another team year after that.
Some more games.
Yeah, more games, which I think will be good. It will lengthen the season a little bit.
If you scroll through the online reaction, the tone is hard to miss. A lot of fans sound fed up with watching Caitlin Clark expand the league's reach, boost ratings, and attract new money, only to see others act like that surge was theirs from the start, like they're automatically entitled to the benefits. When Angel Reese jumps on a stream and talks about sitting out, many people don't view that as strong leadership in negotiations. expectations. They see it as someone stepping into a moment that was already built, and then treating the leverage like it's hers to gamble with. And as for some of the veterans working behind the scenes, that's an entirely different conversation, and one that fans are paying close attention to.
Let's be honest, we can sugarcoat it all you want, but if you don't have Caitlin Clark playing women's basketball, or if you're not the NCAA tournament playing women's basketball, you got nothing. Zero zip.
Let's zero in on the moment many believe the WNBPA lost the public narrative, because it wasn't a gradual shift. It happened all at once, and it didn't look good. Following a major face-to-face bargaining session, the Players Association decided to take their message public. Nneka Ogwumike, the WNBPA president, told Front Office Sports that league officials arrived at the meeting without a formal proposal in hand. She stated plainly that at the very start of the session, the league acknowledged they didn't have an offer prepared. That detail shaped the entire perception of what happened. The story that reached fans was straightforward and damaging. Ownership showed up with nothing, no framework, no numbers, no concrete deal to discuss. And once that narrative took hold, it set the tone for everything that followed.
Slap in the face, you say. Our offers aren't good enough, you claim. We didn't come to the table with anything of substance, you said. The WNBA owners are playing chess while the players are playing checkers.
And that storyline caught fire almost instantly because it aligned with what a lot of fans were already thinking, that ownership was stalling, that the league wasn't fully committed to valuing its players. It was simple, it was easy to understand, and people ran with it. But then the financial details surfaced. Reports showed the league had outlined a plan that included a salary cap around $5 million in the first year, with maximum individual salaries rising toward $1.3 million, and potentially increasing further as the agreement progressed. The proposal also included enhanced benefits and additional player protections. In other words, there was a structured offer on the table, backed by actual numbers. That's where the disconnect hit. The public was initially told there was no proposal at all, yet the details indicated otherwise. From a fan's perspective, that doesn't look like strategy or clever messaging. It feels like being misled at a moment when supporters were prepared to stand firmly behind the players.
2031, the max salary could be up to $2.4 million. If that's not growth of the league, then I must be a ding-dong. No, that is great. Going from little bitty $250,000 max to $2.4 million within 5 years is great. Okay, then the average salary will be $1 million. That's pretty damn good. That's just the base salary. Okay, that's not the incentives or whatever.
Here's where it gets really telling. And the union's counter proposal was roughly 30% of gross revenue, with a starting salary cap near $10.5 million and an individual maximum of $2.5 million. That's a huge gap compared to what the league was offering. But instead of being transparent about that difference and explaining why their demands mattered, the union went straight to claiming there was no offer at all, as if negotiations hadn't even started. Meanwhile, the offer was literally sitting on the table. And speaking of the table, picture this. The owners flew in, sat down, and came prepared with a fully written proposal. Meanwhile, two members of the Players Association's executive committee, Kelsey Plum and Nafisa Collier, didn't even show up in person. They joined via Zoom for what's arguably the most important labor meeting in WNBA history. Two of the people meant to lead the fight for players couldn't be bothered to get on a plane. The excuse? Travel issues, apparently.
There. 2 gates to go. This is what digging deep looks like. Gang. We're going to the meeting. You don't understand?
Here's the situation in plain terms. The owners were in the room fully prepared with a written proposal, while the union's top leaders were dialing in from laptops. After that meeting, the owners didn't issue a formal counter proposal. And honestly, why would they? You don't send a polished response to a Zoom call when the other side was expected to be sitting across the table. Then the union went public claiming there was no offer at all. It's upside down logic. And the side that didn't show up in person was telling the world the other side wasn't serious, and they chose to push this narrative at the exact moment when public trust mattered most. Fans who were ready to back the players started doing the math once the actual numbers leaked, and that's the problem. You can't build a sympathy campaign on a story that collapses the second anyone checks the facts. The dishonesty alone was enough to raise eyebrows, but what made it worse? Some of the veteran players leading the union had motives for these negotiations to fail. Motives that had nothing to do with improving WNBA salaries.
You know, honestly, it's the old guard that's holding the league back. They want to get their big paycheck one more time before they get out. That's all it is, because within 5 years, half them players will be gone. Aguma K is old. She's 35. 5 years later, she'll be 40. She probably won't be in the league by that time. That's why she's probably pushing to get the biggest bag she can get, because she knows deep in her heart she ain't gonna get it. I'm telling you, it's all self-serving.
Ready for the part that really makes your blood boil? Because this goes far beyond just poor negotiating. Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart aren't just WNBA stars. They're also co-founders of Unrivaled, a 3-on-3 league that runs during the WNBA off-season. Here's the kicker. Unrivaled's entire business model depends on WNBA players needing extra income. If WNBA salaries rise high enough that players are financially secure, why would they spend their off-season competing in another league? A wealthier WNBA actually hurts Unrivaled's bottom line, so Collier and Stewart have a direct financial incentive to keep WNBA salaries manageable. And that's a conflict fans need to understand.
To Collier, during the Owls game, I believe she's still on the Lunar Owls, she talked to the broadcast about Unrivaled and gloated about what we're doing over here at Unrivaled. Oh yeah, sustainability. Oh really now? Okay. We have a roasting session on our hands, folks, and I didn't do the roasting, but Nafisa Collier, she's getting dragged through the mud with what she said yesterday. She's getting crushed online.
And here's the real kicker. These are the same players holding leadership roles on the executive committee, the very group that's supposed to be advocating for WNBA athletes. So when negotiations stall, when the union takes a stance the owners clearly can't accept, and when Nafisa Collier can't even show up in person for the most critical meeting of the talks, you have to ask, who actually benefits from this? Spoiler, it's not the average WNBA player just trying to build a career.
What they need, and by the way, maybe they should play hard, but not flagrant foul. You know, Caitlin Clark, can be, the face of the league. They may not like it's the face of the league. There may be professional jealousies among players, but maybe at face of the league can help things go and get merch, people in seats, and a better TV contract. They're getting a TV contract improvement for the 26 season.
Otter, let's revisit what people call the 2 seasons of Clark erasure, because it ties directly into everything we've been talking about. From the moment Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA, the veteran culture treated her like a disruption. Physical play often crossed clear lines, and she faced endless remarks about earning respect, as if breaking college scoring records and filling arenas on her very first road trip wasn't proof enough. Then it escalated. Some veterans even criticized Clark's growing fan base, actual paying customers, for not knowing enough about WNBA history. It wasn't just a personal attack, it was an attempt to diminish the impact of someone who was actively elevating the league.
Which is their argument, which you have to kind of defend the argument that they're making. WNBA's attendance had a record-breaking high in 20 years, with a total of 2.3 million fans attending games. The viewership is higher, and they're asking for the money. And if the contract on the back end, the revenue, NBA gets 50+% to players, they do 9.3. There's an argument for it to be played. But you're right, if Caitlin Clark gets injured...
This one really deserves a pause. Before Caitlin Clark arrived, the WNBA was drawing roughly 6,000 fans per game. Just 6,000. Then Clark comes in, and suddenly new audiences are showing up, buying tickets, streaming games, following the league like never before. And some veterans, they responded by telling those new fans they didn't belong, that they hadn't paid their dues. You can't dismiss a whole wave of fresh support, and then, 2 years later, claim credit for building the league yourself.
Priest was from 2024 to 2023 in attendance in a year, 48%. That's massive for them. So that's the argument they're making. That's the Caitlin Clark effect.
Phenomenon, yeah.
Then, and when it comes down to merch from 23 to 24, they're up 601%. Then when it comes down to being broadcasted on ESPN, they average 1.2 million viewers per game, 170%.
The numbers tell the story loud and clear. Attendance surged across the league, not just in Indiana. Fever games became must-watch events. Oz and ESPN openly credited Caitlin Clark for giving the WNBA its first real mainstream moment. Sponsors followed the attention, networks started cutting bigger checks, and none of it came from the old guard. That was all Clark. End of story. And now, the same veterans are standing on the leverage she created, using it to threaten a walkout. It would almost be comical if actual careers weren't on the line, but it gets worse. The union recently took an even more extreme step, banning any direct communication between players and team owners or front office staff. Think about that. You don't block communication when you're trying to strike a deal. You do it when you're trying to blow one up. This isn't just a negotiating tactic, it's a siege. And the players suffering the most aren't Nafisa Collier or Brianna Stewart. It's athletes like Sophie Cunningham, Lexi Hall, Aaliyah Boston, Marge and Kelsey Mitchell. Players who simply want to suit up and play in 2026. Careers and paychecks are being held hostage by a leadership group that might have motives of its own for letting these talks collapse.
Cam said in a podcast previously, she sees the conflict of interest between Nafisa Collier, Brianna Stewart, and the WNBA. She sees the conflict of interest. So what are you doing to circumvent that conflict and actually get some of the real facts? Some of the real truths that can be taken.
Those players didn't spend 2 seasons trying to sideline Caitlin Clark. They didn't join the most important labor meeting of the year from a laptop screen. All they want is to play, to compete, to do their jobs. Yet right now, the union's leadership is making sweeping decisions that impact every one of them, without anyone stopping to ask whose interests are really being served. Now, think about Clark at that NBA on NBC desk. She walked in like she owned the space. Because she does. No visible nerves, no political posturing, no subtle threats about strikes or walkouts. She broke down basketball with clarity and precision. When the topic of the CBA came up, she didn't overcomplicate it. She simply said she's confident a deal will get done. That's it. Clear, straightforward, and completely credible.
The league has been so much. I mean, can you just help us to understand the transition this league is going on right now?
I mean, it's incredible. And I remember my first WNBA game when I was a young girl. I went to the Minnesota Lynx when they had their dynasty with Maya Moore and they were playing the Seattle Storm, and now basically any arena you go to, it's sold out. We're adding 2 teams. We're up to 14 now, and then hopefully getting to 18 in the next couple years. So, business is booming, and that's a really good thing. And we kind of just got to keep meeting the moment. The talent's getting better and better. You see it at the college level coming into the professional game too. So I feel very fortunate, and hopefully have a long career ahead of me as well.
Now picture this from the outside looking in. The union has blocked all direct communication between players and owners. Public statements from the WNBPA don't line up with the actual numbers. Negotiations are chaotic, messy, and confusing. And right in the middle of that noise, Caitlin Clark, on one of the biggest sports stages in the country, calmly telling everyone to stay grounded. She wants to play, she expects to play, and she said it on NBC without making it about herself or trying to create a spectacle. That single appearance did more for the league's image than months of union press releases ever could. Clark wasn't just expressing optimism, she was sending a clear signal to every sponsor and network executive watching. The product you invested in is still here, still strong, and still worth backing. Fine, that's not something you can stage, and it's certainly not something a live stream rant can replicate.
Different type of buzz, and obviously when LeBron comes to town, it's probably really different, but Knicks fans are crazy, and I love it. I love people that are passionate about basketball, so it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, you kind of know them inside and out a little bit, Reggie. You've stolen their souls and their hearts with the Knicks fans. You see how he's kind of like smirking.
But listen, there's a new shooter from Indiana. See, I'm the third best shooter in the state of Indiana now. Okay. It goes Caitlin, Tyrese, and now myself.
We'll have to get Tyrese's opinion on that. I'm not.
Let's break down the fan backlash, because it's gotten sharp, specific, and personal. People aren't just frustrated with the union as an organization anymore. They're going after individual players. Angel Reese's comment sections look completely different than they did a year ago. Bunch fans who used to stay neutral are now picking sides, and they're not siding with the player who went on a live stream hinting at sitting out 2026. Here's the twist: the veterans who once criticized Clark's new fans for not knowing enough about WNBA history. Those fans are still around, and they haven't forgotten. Every player who took shots at Clark during her first 2 seasons, on or off the court, is now posting about the CBA and getting absolutely ratioed in the replies. The internet kept the receipts, and right now, it's making its voice heard loud and clear.
Appreciate you just joining us on Basketball Night in America.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you
now
gonna
I
come
get
back?
to enjoy this. I mean, what's better, MSG Sunday night?
You can put your slippers
LeBron
back
James,
on if you
let's
want.
go.
Let's go.
Play too.
Hey,
if
guess
you want.
what? Hey,
I get
Caitlin's gonna come
destroyed,
back.
Mello.
She's not gonna put the mic down forever. March 29th, she's back with us in OKC,
Yes,
but now she gets to go and enjoy the Knicks games, and we're happy.
Patrick Bet David tapped into a frustration that was already simmering. He didn't create it, he just gave it a clear voice. And the truth is, the frustration fans feel isn't really about salary numbers or revenue splits. It's much simpler. It's about watching someone threaten to destroy something they had no hand in building. Angel Reese didn't pack the arenas. She didn't drive up TV ratings. She didn't bring in sponsors. Fans see that clearly. So when she talks about sitting out, it comes across like someone trying to cash a check they didn't write. Now look at the fever and what that roster actually represents. Caitlin Clark orchestrating the offense, Aaliyah Boston dominating the post, Lexi Hall hustling on defense every night, and Kelsey Mitchell attacking off the dribble. That's a team people genuinely want to watch. A product that sells tickets, drives subscriptions, and makes casual fans set reminders to tune in. The contrast couldn't be starker. What this team is building on the court is real. What the Union's leadership is doing right now is threatening it. Clark isn't the face of the WNBA's future because she's perfect or never has a bad game. She's the face of it because she's the only high-profile player acting like the 2026 season actually matters. Like there are teammates, fans, and younger players counting on this to succeed. Meanwhile, the Union's leadership is fighting like they want a crisis. Clark is working like she wants a season, and let's be real, the WNBA has been losing around $40 million a year since 1997. So when the old guard talks about blowing up negotiations, they're putting a league that's already financially fragile at even greater risk. Clark didn't threaten anyone. She showed up, did the work, and told NBC the 2026 season is happening. Do you think Angel Reese is out of touch? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates. Click the video on the screen and we'll see you in the next one.